Hey guys, Killix here, rank 1 virgin collector, PvPer, and PvE nerd. I've spent most of the past few years going pretty hard on collecting in World of Warcraft. I'm talking about 97% game completion type of virgin level. But for season 2 of the War Within, I wanted to switch it up. So I set myself a weird challenge, get 1800 rating in Blitz Battleground on every single DPS class, using only the new one button feature rotation. Now before anyone asks, yeah, I still use defensives, crowd control, mobility, interrupts, all that good stuff. But for pure DPS, I locked myself to only the one button mode to see how far I could push it. This video isn't meant to be some meta-defining blitz guide or class tier list. I just want to walk you through how each class felt and what I did to contribute on each battleground, and hopefully give you some ideas if you're trying to climb with low effort or minimal keybinds. So let's jump in. When it comes to warrior, this was actually way more fun than I expected. It's all about the zug-zug playstyle. You charge in, you cleave, repeat. The one button rotation actually worked pretty well here since you're almost always hitting multiple targets anyways. It took me a bit to get used to the mobility, but once I got it down, it was pretty smooth sailing. We'll talk about Red Pally next. So this is my main, so I definitely had an edge. Even with the one button, Red feels pretty great. It's got big flashy burst windows, satisfying visuals, and solid damage. The only downside is it occasionally wasting globals in chaotic fights, but overall it still felt pretty strong. And what I mean by wasted globals, it like whenever there was like a lot of pets around and stuff like that, it would spam Divine Storm instead of like Templar's Verdict, so it was a bit of a wasted global there. When it comes to Hunter, I pushed it on BM Hunter. This one was a little rough. The pets constantly bugging out or pathing like they were on dial-up kind of ruined it for me. Damage was okay when it worked out, but the amount of times my pet was stuck or dead made this incredibly frustrating. As far as Rogue, I did it on Assassination Rogue, and this was insanely good. Actually, I just spammed tap targeted between enemies, just pressing the one button. Somehow made me top damage almost every single game. The bleeds and poisons just apply passively anyways, so the spec scales perfectly with this playstyle. As far as Priest, I did, let's see, Shadow Priest. Figure this out. This was probably the least fun spec of the bunch. You're pretty much a magnet to CC, silences, kicks, and just being trained the entire game. Unless your team actually peels for you, which is very unlikely in this low lobbies of Blitz. You spend most of the match just watching yourself getting chain kicked or CC'd, so this was not that fun, to be completely honest. As far as Death Knight, I did it as Frost. This one's actually pretty cool. I like the purple. This was absolutely busted. I didn't even know what I was doing half the time. I didn't even read my abilities. Honestly, I had no idea what I was doing. I just stood in the middle of the fight, dropped my AoE big circle slow zone thing that made me just, I don't know what it even did. And I just watched people melt like chains, just constantly spam gripping everything, just passive tankiness. You don't really have to worry about dying on this class. It's just the perfect spec for Blitz, and probably the easiest one I climbed with. As far as Shaman, I did it on Ellie. This was I never really knew what was going on with Ellie as well, but my damage was just cracked. The amount of procs, instant casts, and just flashy animations made the spec super fun for me. Even if I had no idea what was going on half the time. Ascendance in particular was just disgusting. Like anytime I pressed that ability, it just melted the target I was on. As far as Frost Mage, ooh, this is really cool actually. This looks like the Sarkareth raid, Incarnates raid type of mog. This was one of my favorite. This was my favorite casting by far. Between the slows, roots, and just massive amounts of crits non-stop, it felt amazing. I could kite, control the fight, and still pump damage with barely any micromanagement. Also, I just love standing like near edges and waiting to knock people off. That was actually really fun. The Warlock, I did it on. I initially started as Destro, and I was having a really hard time with Destro, so I swapped to Aflock. I started off hating this one as well. You get trained, interrupted, and generally just like spam bullied by everybody on their team. But then I kind of figure out the secret. It's just like tab targeting spamming. Just keep rotting everyone and avoid casting unless it's 100% safe. Suddenly I was topping meters and just existing, right? Like surprisingly satisfying once you get the flow. You just put up, you literally pick a target, you press your one button rotation 2 or 3 times, and then you swap to the next target. So you're never really casting, you're just spam dotting your the entire enemy team the entire game. And you do an absurd amount of damage once you have dots on everyone. Oh, this one's actually sick. This is the first time I'm actually looking at these as well, guys. I have not looked at any of these yet since I've gotten them. I'm not even trolling, actually. This spec's just kind of slaps. Like, it literally, like, it has great burst. It's super mobile, and it flows well with the one-button system. You're squishy if you overextend, but if you play it smart, you can dominate fights and just outmaneuver almost every single class. As far as Druid, I did it as Boomy. This one I kind of play like Aflock, but with Starfall as well. I barely casted anything. I just tap target around and spam press the one-button rotation, and it would constantly Starfall as well in between globals. You kind of just let the dots and AoE do all the work. I stacked in fights and was regularly doubling to tripling the next highest person's damage in every single team fight Blitz. And it also has insane mobility and off heals. It's pretty cracked, guys. Druid is probably the most overpowered class in Blitz, to be completely honest. As far as Demon Hunter, I did it as Havoc. This is hands down the most fun melee spec for me. Just go in, start cleaving. The passive leech as well, and the passive movement speed I have just makes you nearly unkillable in team fights. And you can chase FCs or rotate bases pretty easily. This spec feels like it's tailor-made for Blitz on certain maps. As far as Evoker, I did it as Devastation Evoker. And this visually, this was an insane class. It was just very aesthetically pleasing. It's got lasers, nukes, dragon animations. It's like super cool. You do get trained a lot though, especially in solo queue. But if you rotate defensives properly and keep your distance, the one button feels natural since the spec is already simple. And it's already pretty much a 2-button class anyways. So here's a breakdown of how I played every single battleground depending on the class, guys. On Warsong Gulch specifically, your goal here is to protect your FC or kill theirs. Okay, so on support style specs like Warrior, Ret, Hunter, Mage, Warlock, Priest, I just babysat our FC. I peeled and I killed the enemy team that was pressuring our FC and just made sure we capped the flag. That's it. On chase down specs like pressure offensive specs like DH, Rogue, DK, Shaman, Monk, Druid, Evoker, I just went full offense. I usually started mid in team fights, then rotated off to pressure or kill the enemy flag, and just constantly pressure the enemy flag, right? On maps like Arathi Basin and Deepwind Gorge, these maps are all about rotating smart and winning side nodes. So warriors, DKs, monks, warlocks, I just held down blacksmith and market with a healer. My job was just to spin the flag. That is literally it. That is your only role on these maps, is to spin the flag and try to cap it if possible, right? On Paladin, Priest, Demon Hunter, and Druid, I went mines most often and bounced between nodes. And these classes have great healing and great sustainability, so they often don't need a healer. On Rogue and Hunter, mostly base at, and I ninja capped or created pressure when needed at other nodes, but I always made sure to come back to my nodes that I was supposed to sit to cap it, right? Never ghost your base either. Make sure your base caps over before you rotate to pressure another base, right? Because somebody could come to your base and ninja cap it if you're not defending it. On Mage, Evoker, and Shaman, I fought mostly for LM or top lanes. So the knockbacks and burst made from these classes are insane for LM specifically. Like, you can knock off people off the map and just instantly win nodes and instantly win games because of it. On Eye of Storm, I had a mid control and flag capture. Was pretty much everything here, guys. Off nodes matter, but only to a certain degree. So the mid brawlers I would have for middle, like on all of these classes, I just full focused in middle on team fight and focused on winning the flag, was Warrior, DK, Shaman, Mage, Warlock, Priest, Monk, Druid, Evoker, and Demon Hunter. Pretty much every single class almost. The base sitters were always Paladin and Hunter, right? Yeah, just defend and call incomings and spam scroll through your BGE and make sure nobody's attacking you. My Rogue, I just full-time pressured enemy bases. You'd be shocked how often they ghosted their base and you just get it for free, right? So, and usually if you get 2 bases on a Blitz on EOTS, you just win the game. So on Temple of Kot Mogu, it's all about pressuring orb carriers and securing kills around them, right? So the classes that I trained orbs on was Warrior, Ret, rogue, shaman, mage, monk, demon hunter, hunter, evoker, right? You just full tunnel orbs 24/7. You just try to spam CC their healers as often as you can. Other than that, your only targets, guys, are orbs, right? The classes that I focus mostly on rotting the entire team while still attacking orbs, but not overextending and not chasing orbs too much, or priest, death knight, druid, and warlocks. You just rot people near orbs and punish push-ins, right? I also picked up orbs on specs like demon hunter, rogue, hunter, monk, evoker, druid, and priest. These are very good classes to orb carry because you have a ton of mobility on some of these classes, and you have a ton of defensives on some of these classes. So this challenge was honestly a blast, guys. Not only did I get 1800 on every DPS spec with the one button system, but I also learned a lot about how impactful positioning, awareness, strategy, and just like your abilities on every single class is during every single game and every single map, even when you're barely pressing buttons, right? If you're stuck in low CR, overwhelmed by complex rotations, or just want to have fun and still win, this is proof that you don't need to sweat every single thing in the game to be useful and achieve whatever rating you want, guys. I'll be doing the same challenge in Solo Shuffle next season, and I'll have a lot more content coming soon on how to improve on WoW. Check out my new video that I just dropped as well on how to get better at WoW. I'll have that link down in the description as well. If you found this interesting or helpful, feel free to drop by the stream sometime. I'm always collecting, always gaming, and I'm always live at twitch.tv/KillerKTV. Thanks for watching, guys. I'll see you in the next one.